So I thought I'd make a video on the breeding behavior of discus, or at least some of the signs that you could see when they're starting to spawn. You'll see them pecking at the cone, like my female's doing right now. Their breeding tube will start to protrude out from their bodies. I don't know if the video's picking it up, but you can also see the female doing a shimmy across her entire body, starting at the head, and the male will do the same thing. I think you can pick that up a little bit. And if they're both doing that at the same time, just kind of leave them alone. I wouldn't put any food in the tank because they probably wouldn't eat. I haven't fed them at all today. That may have even helped trigger it. If they're eating, they're usually more concerned with feeding and fighting each other for the food. So this is just kind of what it looks like. I'll do an update maybe in a couple hours if they start to spawn. It's getting kind of late at night. I believe it's 7 p.m. If it gets too late, I'll just shut the lights off and then they'll go back to it tomorrow. I'll probably throw some food in there tomorrow for them. You just don't want to stress them at all. I mean, you don't want to stop feeding them totally. But these are pretty hardy fish. They could go, a day without eating and be fine. I feed them a lot anyway, so they're actually kind of chubby. The male's pretty chubby, the one that's closest to the camera. So I could just zoom in here and let you take a look. Something else you might notice is them lip locking is a sign that they're ready to start spawning. Tilting back, passing each other while they're tilted back, and then dipping forward after they pass each other. Those of you that are trying to breed discus, you just have to be patient. I've had these for almost 2 years. I'd say, right at a year and a half. The female has laid eggs. This would be her 5th time laying eggs. And the male would always go in and eat the eggs and never fertilize them. He'd never shown signs of wanting to spawn like he is today. So hopefully this will be the first time they have a successful spawn. I have a mesh cage that I built that fits around the cone. As soon as they're done spawning, I'll put that mesh cage over it just to prevent them from eating the eggs. The female wouldn't eat them ever. The male would just get in there and eat them, and I'm afraid that may happen, especially overnight. They tend to just kind of act funny overnight. This is what the mesh cage looks like. I can make a video on how to make one of these. It's pretty easy. This is just, I don't know, made out of plastic, some type of plastic mesh. It's real flexible. It won't rust in the water. Hopefully it won't break down in the water. But it's probably, I'd say, a 1/4 inch mesh. And you don't want to put something that's too fine a mesh on there. You want water to flow over those eggs. Like I was saying, this is just a 1/4 inch mesh. I took the cone, went around it with this and figured out how big around it needed to be, and you see about how tall you want it to be, and it'll just go around there and set on that rim, and that way the fish, they'll just keep their distance. They'll still be able to fan the eggs with their fins, kind of get some aeration over the eggs. The eggs do breathe. And yeah, just as soon as I see them finish laying the eggs, I'll toss this on there. They're both ready. They're both happy. They're both healthy. I just finished a round of Metroplex from Seachem to treat for internal parasites. I believe that has improved the health of my fish. I really like that product. It's easy to use, and I would definitely recommend it. So you can see them playing with each other, kind of getting feisty. I noticed if they start fighting a lot like this, their breeding tubes really start coming out. It's just them being aggressive. That's just their nature. If you see your fish doing that, I wouldn't worry at all. It's totally natural. What I think it is, the male would end up fighting another male. He can't do that in this situation, so he's a little aggressive. He might be taking it out on the female. But I'll check back here in about an hour or so. They may not lay tonight. They usually have this behavior for about 2 days, and then they'll spawn. This is just kind of the preparation. So I just got to keep them healthy and happy for the next 2 or 3 days, and then they should spawn, and then we'll have some baby fire dragon discus. Well, it's been about 3 hours. Not really much to update. They're still showing the same spawning behavior, which is good. It tends to ramp up until they actually spawn, so they'll start shaking more, interacting with each other more. Then they'll start doing mock passes on the cone, and then they'll actually spawn and lay their eggs and fertilize the eggs on the cone. Well, it's about 12 hours later. You can see that they're still, at least near the cone, still somewhat interacting with each other. I'm going to go ahead and feed them just a little bit. Like I said, they may or may not eat, but it looks like they're still getting ready to spawn. So hopefully tonight or tomorrow we'll have some eggs. Okay, this is still day 2. It's 6:30 p.m. They're getting closer to laying. I see the female's breeding tube is almost fully protruded from her body, and she's starting to make passes. The male is very docile and showing interest in the cone and the female, so I'm hoping that he will make passes after her. I notice when she does her shimmy, then he reflects that and does his shimmy, and that's probably the way it should go. She'll make her pass, and then he'll reflect that and make his pass. Well, I've never seen this before, but the female seems to be really aggressive towards the male. Her breeding tube is still sticking out real far, but I don't know if she's just getting frustrated, he's not doing what she wants him to do, or what, but she's just been pecking at him for the past 5 minutes, just almost continuously. I don't know if she's trying to wake him up a little bit, or what's going on, but just hope for the best. You can see her breeding tube is out really far, So I think they'll actually hopefully spawn tonight. This is the second day of their spawning behavior. The male's breeding tube isn't down, and you see they're just acting real rambunctious. I don't know what to do. I fed them a little bit today, and I changed out about 5 gallons of water. It's 8 o'clock right now, so we'll just see how it goes the rest of the night. I'm thinking I kind of messed up and I shouldn't have fed them. Now the male's kind of preoccupied with eating instead of spawning. Well, here's the update. The female is laying eggs and the male is not fertilizing them. He may start doing it here in a couple minutes. My water's pretty soft, so hopefully the eggs will still be viable. Odds are it's not going to be a successful spawn. Better luck next time. But you can see the female is spawning and the male is not fertilizing the eggs this time. Still happy that the female is laying eggs. It's a sign that the fish are healthy, that my water's good, temperature's good, and I'll just keep it up. Maybe next week they'll spawn successfully. We'll see. And you can see right there the male's actually just eating the eggs. It's not a good sign. He's just not ready to spawn yet.